is. It's been so long since I've seen you in flower. You beautiful. Look, there it is. The as yet undescribed Bristol Mountains buckwheat. So hopefully putting it in video format will encourage some of the local botanists to get off their ass and formally describe it. And mention all the prior collections of it, and it's in flower too. Look at those ketchup and mustard flowers. Beautiful waxy blue stems, divaricating cage-like stems, somewhat resembling Eriogonum deflexum or Eriogonum hermanii. Some of the other ones that do that branching shit, but there it is. It's looking terrific. And it seems like there's plenty of old ones. There's probably plenty of seed in the seed bank here. It is exceptionally dry here though. It is exceptionally dry in the Mojave right now, or at least in this part of the Mojave. I mean, you know it's dry when the barrel cactus are dying. God, it's fucking great though. Look at it. It's a limestone endemic, only growing on the limestone, on this little patch of limestone that's like an island surrounded by the igneous. Ah, it feels so good to be back in a Mojave again. Look at it. It's like, look at all the Psorothamnus. Look at all the smoke tree. Mojave smoke tree. And those igneous mountains behind us. Limestone is relatively rare here. Unlike what I've been used to for the last couple of years in Texas, where limestone's everywhere and the igneous stuff is rare. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Crime Pays with Botany Does. And I'm in my old stomping grounds in the Mojave Desert, somewhat near Joshua Tree, which is replete with a whole lot of touristy bullshit. I was not surprised, but I certainly was disappointed to see my favorite cafe closed and turned into like a touristy kitsch spot selling overpriced junk. You could get a fucking $100 t-shirt in there. Jesus Christ. The amount of Caucasian women I saw with wide-brimmed hats was mind-blowing too. What a stereotype. Anyway, we're here looking at Psorothamnus spinosus, a member of the legume family and a relative of Amorpha and Dahlia, two genera that are very fragrant legumes. They have very fragrant foliage because, like Psorothamnus, they've got glands, which you can see right here, those prominent glands on these photosynthetic stems. They've got glands filled with pleasant-smelling terpenes and volatile compounds. Amorpha canescens lead plant is a relative of this. Dahlia is a lead plant of this. The genus Isonhardia, forget the stupid common name it has in Texas. What is it? Kidney wood or fiddlewood or some dumb shit? I don't fucking know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. Isonhardia is the genus name. Anyway, they're all relatives. They're in the tribe Amorphae, and they smell phenomenal. You can see we're here in this wash. It's not a lot of topography in this alluvial slope right here, but you can see the water does run from those lines right here, and all this igneous material, wonderful igneous rocks, weathered out of the surrounding mountains over the last 20 million years or so, and then slowly making their way to the washes and draws around here. But this plant, I love it, man. It's incredible. You can see it's leafless, photosynthetic stems. They have leaves when they're young, and you come here at the right time, like in the spring, if there's enough moisture in the ground, and they're just covered in these beautiful purple blooms, these pea flowers with like purple and orange in them. Like the whole thing will be just covered in beautiful purple. But even when it's not in bloom, it's still a beautiful plant. One of the coolest plants that the Mojave Desert has to offer. You frequently find it in washes. It is so incredibly dry here. It is nuts. And so all of these plants either have thick layers of wax or they're leafless. They're just taken to having photosynthetic stems, so they don't have to worry about transpiring moisture out of their leaves. And some of the most drought-tolerant plants in North America are in the Mojave Desert. And so we're going to take a look at some of them. Let's go see what we got. You want to see a glandular bean? There's a glandular bean right there. See, it's just a little bean, a single seed inside, a single seeded bean, and those orange dots on it are the glands. And they smell nice. And you can see there's a borehole in it, so there was a little weevil larva in the seed to the left. Look, they got that nice little taper, just that distal end of that ovary. It's basically the stigma and the style still on it. But those are the seeds. And then the seed, the seed's inside there, and it looks like a little camouflage bean. Oh, I love this plant so much, even when it's not in flower. And then you can see we got plenty of Laurea tridentata, the creosote bush. Most diversity in that genus is in South America, like in drier parts of northern Argentina. Waxy as hell, smells very wonderful. And then we got this weirdo, Senna armata. It's a photosynthetic stemmed senna. We get plenty of senna in Texas, but they all have leaves because it's not dry enough there to warrant or to select for the photosynthetic stem trait. You can see there's the fruits right there, these little beans. The flowers are bangers when they're going off. They've got poricidal anthers on them, 5 yellow petals. But you can see it's leafless here. I mean, it's so dry, you know, the environment's going to select for traits like this. Photosynthetic stems. Get rid of leaves altogether so you're not losing more moisture and water vapor out of your stomata. And then we got this guy, Psorothamnus arborea, the bladder pad, which is in the family Cleomaceae, which is distantly related. It's in the same order as mustard, the order Brassicales. Different families, same order. You can see there's the ovaries there. The flowers are withering. Actually, the flowers up top are still good. And you can see right there, there's an ovary that hasn't matured yet. Got pollinated. It's fertilized, but hasn't matured. There's quite a few ovaries in those flowers. And the corollas are withering, as are the stamens. It's got a funky smell to it as well. Like many members of Cleomaceae, very waxy and rubbery. Oh, yeah. It smells like burning rubber a little bit. And then right there we got Ambrosia dumosa, one of the only wind-pollinated members of the sunflower family Asteraceae, the genus Ambrosia, of course. But bees will still come and get pollen out of these male flower heads. And then the female flower heads are these spiky little bastards right up here. You can see they're just maturing ovaries, and they got those spikes on them to adhere to passing animals or people for dispersal. Look at how waxy the creosote is. You see it? It's so waxy. It's so glabrous and shiny and shit. I'd like to get flagellated with that. I think you deserve it. You've been bad. Anyway, here we got Bebia juncea. Bebia juncea. Fucking ridiculous name, but a wonderful plant. Photosynthetic stems, and I was just taking photos of some very cool wasps pollinating the shit out of these. It's so nice to not see honeybees. Fuck the honeybees. We'll say that right here. We say that, I can't say that enough. Fuck the honeybees. Right? There's good data showing that honeybees, honeybees being present and dominant, especially in an area, lead to reduced levels of fitness. Because rather than flying from plant to plant, like many native pollinators will, a lot of the honeybees just hit all the same flowers on the same plant, which is effectively, it's a form of self-pollination. Who's that over there? We got a bee fly or something on there? Who's banging it? So anyway, yeah, fuck the honeybees. We'll say it again. Now, who the shit is this? Who's this native guy, huh? The other thing about the honeybees, too, is that, they'll kill you. A lot of they're that Scutellatta hybrid. If you see a feral honeybee colony, especially in the lower latitude United States, it's probably one of the Scutellatta hybrids. The Africanized hybrids that are hyper-aggressive. Holy shit, these flowers smell so good. I can smell them from here. They smell sweet. Kind of like sweet honey. You see, look at it. God, the native bees are so cool. God damn it, that was a wasp. Where the hell did he go? Could sit out here roasting for hours, Oh, look at him. Just hitting the bebia. Who are you? And then from one of my favorite genera, the genus Encilia, we got Encilia frutescens. You can see the seeds look like sunflower seeds with that ciliate margin. Just a bunch of hairs around the margin of the seed. And being in a wash on this, alluvial, essentially a massive alluvium, all being washed down, I'm sure the seeds will get around. They also have, can do the wind dispersal thing, do those plumose hairs and shit. And of course we got Senegalia gregii, the cat claw acacia, which is no longer in the genus Acacia because the genus Acacia was polyphyletic. It's got those little recurved cat claws on it, though, as you can see right there. Smells incredible when it blooms. Just doesn't want to be bothered, That's all. Can't blame it. And then, just like our Cucurbita fetidissima that we have in Texas, we have what looks like a watermelon from the Cucurbitaceae, the cucumber family. It looks like little pumpkins, but they taste bitter as hell. Common name, coyote melon. This is Cucurbita palmata. Much different leaf than the Texas species, and probably a little bit more drought tolerant, and probably has a large root in the ground. Are they annuals or perennials? I assume they're perennials. You know what? My head's up my ass. They're annuals. Think of like pumpkins. I'm pissing right now while we're talking. I hope that's okay. I hope you're okay with it. But they're annuals. I mean, you think of a pumpkin. Pumpkins don't come back, right? Same thing. They're annuals. I mean, some cucurbits are perennial, but a lot are just annuals. You know, they just produce a lot of seed, and of course they're monoecious as well, so you have male and female flowers on the same plant. But more males than females, you know, because the females are biologically expensive to produce since they got to produce, you know, the fruits and all that stuff. Look at all this rock. Don't you wish we had aluminum or alluvium like this? Excuse me. You know, I get these malapropisms just like the late Mayor Daley. I'm always, you know, confused. I like the way they sound sometimes, so I keep them in there. But don't you wish we had alluvium like that in Texas? We got all the limestone and stuff. Different suite of plants, different suite of environmental stressors. But I really do miss the gneiss, the metamorphosis, or the metamorphic rocks, the granites, the igneous, all the nice stuff. You know, we'll get some rhyolite up here. Let's go check out some basalt. And right here we got Chromaria bicolor, a hemiparasite. So a partially parasitic plant with those distinctive Velcro-like fruits. They're not spiny, they don't hurt, but they stick to you like Velcro. A hemiparasite in its own family, Chromariaceae. You got relatives in Mexico that are large shrubs. You got relatives in Chile that are a little bit succulent and grow in the fog deserts of the Atacama. And this guy, bicolor, I bet he's tapped into that creosote. It would make sense. He's growing a little too close to him. But all of them are partially parasitic, and the flowers are pollinated by oil-collecting bees. They collect oil off of those glands, especially at the base, right there below that ovary. Pretty flowers. Oh, look, pubescent leaves, too. It's not surprising. Ah, there's Sun Armata in flower. God, it smells incredible, too. The flowers are fucking fragrant, man. And you got poricidal anthers for buzz pollination. You got an ovary in the center. You can see the ones down there are maturing already. What a phenomenal plant. No leaves when mature, just photosynthetic stems. That's a milkweed, Asclepias erosa. And you can tell how big the tuber must be if you've got a 4-foot tall coalescent herb coming off of it. There's the flowers. These desert milkweeds. God, you got to see subulata. That's a nice one. No leaves, just stems. I think it's got vestigial leaves. Look at those flowers. Nectar buffet for pollinators. Probably a lot of tarantula hawks getting busy on this guy. And of course the opposite leaves. Somewhat coriaceous leaves with a little bit of pubescence on that stem. Look at that. Ooh. Oh, look at that leaf margin. That's curious. Yeah, you can see how the water just runs off these gradual slopes, these alluvial slopes when it rains. Got some nice Senegalia, as well as the Phoradendron californicum that smells so lovely when it flowers, that mistletoe growing on the cat claw. And then from the same family, we got Funastrum hirtellum. There's the giveaway that it's a milkweed. You can see those wonderful milkweed flowers, and it's just twining up this dead vine. I don't know if that's a senna or what. There's the follicles, the fruits, looking like little bullhorns, little fuzzy pubescent bullhorns. We get a species of Funastrum in Texas that's just aggressive as hell, and it smells like feet and ass. It's horrible. You rip it off and it smells like feet and ass, and then bleeds the milky latex all over your fingers. And one of my personal favorites from the mint family Lamiaceae, we got Hyptis, now Condea emerii. You can see the intense pubescence on it. It smells lovely, and it's covered in pollinators, but unfortunately they're mostly shitty honeybees. P.S. Fuck the honeybees. It's like, you know, I mean, they have their uses, obviously, for pollinating crops, but who cares about that? It's like you're being concerned about the population of cows. There's more than enough cows. There's more than enough honeybees. Fuck the honeybees. We're concerned about native pollinators. It's so nice. You know, you gotta, every once in a while, you gotta stop and admire the gently rolling bajadas and alluvial plains, alluvial fans of, you know, all this wonderful igneous, all this, you know, igneous and metamorphic alluvium, you know, in the driest desert in North America. That is something else. I said, wow, look at all that creosote too. See, if you weren't, you know, paying attention to stuff and you had, you know, the intelligence of a brick and no insight and didn't appreciate where you are, you'd look at it and say it's a weed. I'd beat her to tell you it's Dahlia mellissima. It's a wonderful species of dahlia. Look at the wrinkled margins of the leaves. Look at all the fuzz and shit on there. You like that? You sick fuck? Now, moving down slope a little bit, you can see we're right on the southern margin of the wonderful Amboy Crater. Well, I'll show you the crater up there. The ground is very puffy, and I believe it was mined for soda ash. There's a bunch of tailing piles and shit. Got a wonderful array of members of the Amaranthaceae, specifically out of the quinopodes. You know, same evolutionary clade as quinoa. We got a bunch of atriplex species. and Chenopodium. Rather boring looking shrubs. I think most of them are wind pollinated, but they are very good at dealing with saline soils. And you get a lot of saline soils in the desert, lots of salt accumulation because it's so hot and there's not much rain. You get a very high rate of evaporation. So the waters, they wash a bunch of minerals and what the shit off the rocks. The acidic rain generally, causes a bunch of different minerals to dilute in it, and then it washes them into these basins and then evaporates, so you get these hyper concentrations of various minerals, which is why you get all this white crusty shit all over the ground. This is a relatively recent lava flow coming out of the cone. You could see the saline mud, and then as we go up here, you really start getting into a lot of the different basalts and scorias and stuff, and a lot of them have a really nice polished sheen to them from the all the different sand grains and with the getting sandblasted. Right, I spent a lot of time here in the past, sometimes on mushrooms or other psychedelic compounds, various arrays of psychedelic compounds at night. That's the spot to really do that stuff. And again, this is especially for some of the Texas squares, no offense to them, I can't recommend it enough. You really learn a lot about yourself and the world around you when you come out to the desert and do psychedelics. Don't overdo it, but definitely come out and do it, all right? And, if you haven't done it once in your life, you're not worth trusting in my book. No offense, okay? Bless your heart, as they say over there. Look at that Amboy Crater. What is that? Just a massive zit of basaltic, relatively mafic lava. I love this landscape. Not a lot of diversity, but what does grow here is tough as nails. The ground almost looks like a pavement, right? Ah, nice. What is this? Atriplex hymenelytra? One of the most salt-tolerant plants of all time. Oh, yeah, it's got those holly-like leaves, right? You got oh, look at that. God, I miss this plant, everybody needs a bad trip once in a while. You do. You really do. You need a bad trip. You need to get slapped around. The bad trips are what you grow from. Okay? If you're just running around having a good time, you often don't grow a lot from that. You need to feel bad. And most of us are kind of fucked up. All right? The bad trips are the purging, the self-examination of the things that, maybe you need to reanalyze about yourself that you've been ignoring. It's the kind of stuff that alcohol numbs you to. Just part of the reason alcohol is so negative, it leads to degrowth. And booze actively leads to degrowth. I'm glad a lot of alcohol, a lot of people aren't drinking anymore. Right? You get those NAs. A lot of people, the alcohol lobby's freaking out because there's not a lot of people drinking. That's why they're paying off people like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to basically recriminalize cannabis, because cannabis and the legalization of it, though I'm not really a cannabis guy, the legalization of it is part of the reason people aren't drinking anymore. Anyway, look at it. Atriplex hymenelytra. Wonderful leaves. Let's take a close look at the texture of those leaves. Oh my God. You get salt crystals exuding on the surface of these leaves and stems sometimes. Right? Because salt tends to pull moisture out. So a lot of these halophytes tend to concentrate salt to a concentration greater than that in the soil, and that's how they can resist the pull of the salt in the soil. What a wonderful landscape. So we've come down off the gently sloping bajadas and alluvial fans. It's a big alluvial fan right there at this elevation of 2,000 feet in the Mojave Desert. And we're now on this substrate of black basaltic lava. And you can see it was all puked out of that zit over there roughly 80,000 years ago. That's the Amboy Crater. But what I want to show you specifically is this really cool plant right here. This is a halophyte, which means it's exceptionally well at tolerating salt. This is Atriplex hymenelytra, and it's got a method of basically absorbing salt from the substrate that it grows in, which is very salty, because remember, again, you get all these rocks around here, all this minerals. When it does rain, and it doesn't rain too much, when it does rain though, it washes all the minerals off into these basins, and then the water evaporates because it's so hot, and so really quickly you get a buildup of salts in the soil. A lot of deserts are very salty, from here to the Atacama to the Chihuahua Desert, etc. And so many plants growing in desert environments have to be tolerant of salt, and this is a great example of one that is. This, again, Atriplex hymenelytra, it's got those holly-like leaves. It takes up salts, concentrates them in the vacuoles of its cells so it doesn't fuck with the cytoplasm, and basically lowers the water potential in the roots so that despite the immense pull that salty soil has in pulling water out of roots, this can fight it. And so it actually, can pull water in. It can fight against that osmotic gradient that the salty soil exudes. And so it can take up water. But then once it's got the salt in its cells, it's got to get rid of it somehow. And so it will actively exude salt crystals on those leaves. And you can, in some cases, see them. This isn't the best example. You can see a little bit right there. And then the leaves will just fall off. They just dump. So it will just shed leaves. But a lot of members of this family, the spinach and amaranth family and the quinoa family, are exceptional halophytes. They're really good at growing in salty, fucked up soil. And so they're very common in deserts. Oh, God. I love this. Yeah, I love it. I missed it out here so much. Oh, I missed you so much. I missed you so much. It's been years, man. We were so good together early on. You taught me a lot. Look at this. It's all creosote and atriplex. And some other random chenopods. I'm sure, there's a wealth, apparently there is, of annuals in the seed bank, but you need a steady amount of rain to get those to germinate. You gotta take a rack. It's fine to take a rack. I talked to Amboy. She said it's fine. She said you could take a couple rocks. Don't overdo it. Don't come here with a truck or nothing. You can definitely take some rocks, though. She said it's fine. Oh, can you imagine a sound she must have made as she cooled? Lots of clunking and clanking and probably bubbling and igneous farting. Must have sounded lovely. See this right here, it's dead, but it's an annual in the buckwheat family called Coryzanth rigida. You just see the little stems and stuff. I got pictures of it flowering when it was actually alive once, but it was like 8 years ago. But you frequently see it a lot. It's very painful to step on. One of the only mushrooms you get in deserts, Podaxis pistillaris. God, come on, let go. It's a stalked puffball. Right, so it doesn't make sense to just have a cap that opens and exposes the gills to the air in the desert, because you'll dry out before any of the spores actually get out there. So what they do is they instead remain closed and then keep all their spores right there. And you can see these are just ready to rip. I'm getting them all. Let's do lines of it. Fuck it, right? I wonder what it's eating, though. Just dead atriplex stalks. Oh, there's another one emerging. What's it eating? Just dead, I guess just dead atriplex. Atriplex and Lorea. There's some food in there for it to be eating, right? Look, there you go. There's some nice salt accumulation. Some nice crusty salt accumulation. It's like you can puncture it. It's hollow like a tube. Got some more over there and there. Probably plenty of borax in that soil too. You got a bunch of different ions and stuff in there. That's what your problem is. You got a bunch of different ions, going on, and they're packing them all in there. You get too many of the ions. You get a lot of ions, and then there's just too many ions, and then you can't, it's just going to pull the water out your roots. It's with the, atriplex you deal with. You got a lot of different issues going on. Right, a lot of different problems. You got different stuff, different tubes, always different series of tubes. One tube wants to pull one way, and then one other tube wants to pull the other way. What are you going to do about that? Right, you got to increase the salt concentration inside a vacuole. Now we're here on some lovely exposures of granitic. It kind of turns to gneiss. There's a metamorphic integrate over there. And over there we got some really nice bits of rhyolite. And then over there, which is our target where we're going to, we have a wonderful exposure of limestone. We're going to be looking for some cool plants over there. I haven't been here in quite a few years. But this used to be one of my old stomping grounds, and I love it very much. You can see there's a tailing pile from some miner, digging a hole into the ass of the mountain looking for shiny shit. I don't know what he was doing. You find mining claims throughout the Mojave Desert. But the plant community will change a little bit. We are at 1,500 feet. We will be going up slightly to about 2,000 feet. But meanwhile, we're going to go check out an old mine. Look, there's limestone right here. Little bits of that limestone. You can see how it's dissolving, with the rain. You can get the little dimpling on it and shit. It's that tear pants limestone. The Mojave limestone's very rough. And then over here, of course, we've got some... Is that granite? It doesn't quite seem to be granite. It seems to be intermediate. The grain size is not as large as granite. It was definitely igneous, though. But this little boulder of limestone presumably came from somewhere up there. These miners, I don't know if they were on meth back then, but they were doing something. They were doing goof. I remember, I've been back in there before. A nice physalis. You can see that physalis they got right there. They put a nice stuff, it must have been a nice installation. They put a physalis right at the entrance, so when you walk into the dark hole, go stick your head inside a mountain's ass. You're greeted with some wonderful members of Solanaceae with that papery edible fruit. Oh, nice. You know, we got the shaft here. You know, I think they've had us here for a while with the T-posts, and you could just go right over it, you know. Be a nice spot for a drunk to fall in. It's the Phanomeria passiflora. It's a native chicory right here. You can see the little flowers. So Asteraceae, but the chicory subfamily. 5 teeth on those white ligules that look like petals, and then of course entirely ligulate florets inside, each with its own little pink style. So waxy, half the plant's dead, but you still look good to me, pal. You're still a stunner in my eyes. You know, how do you get a guy in there? You get a guy in there? Did somebody fall down? You get somebody in there. They got this tube in the ground too, this little tube. This stuff's, I mean, it's interesting. It is kind of boring too, but you know, they're looking for where the 2 rocks meet, right? See, right at the intersection. You got that, I don't know what the fuck that is. Doesn't quite look like rhyolite. But, you know, they're obviously doing stuff in there. Yeah, this is all limestone. How about that? Look at that. You get the different layers and stuff. Oh, who's that? Is that a peridotally over there? What is that? Got an aristida. What looks like an aristida right there. Don't quote me, though. I'm out of my element. I haven't been here in a while, you know. Spent a lot of time. Got Titusstromia right there. And just these wonderful exposures of limestone rock, of calcareous rock. Ah! Now this is a nice plant. This is probably one of my favorite Mojave Desert plants, also known as funeral sage. It is a salvia species, so it's in the mid-family Lamiaceae. It kind of looks like shit right now. I mean, but you got to remember, give it a break. It's growing out of a crack in pure limestone rock. There's no soil here whatsoever. But you can see what it's done with its leaves. They're still opposite. It's too bad it's not fire. Oh, I can smell the leaves from here. Wonderful minty aroma. But they come to this acuminate point. It's kind of spiny, and they are just extremely covered in pubescence. Right? I mean, this is a plant I use in presentations to show, you know, the further west you go across the deserts of North America, the hairier the plants get. And this is such an extreme case of it. I mean, when you see this in more exposed locations, the leaves are so covered in hair, they just look pure white. They look like little pointy cotton swabs. And then the flowers, if we were to see any right here, are just little purple salvia flowers. Look at that. You can look at all the scales on it. What a wonderful species. Salvia funerea, everybody. Named after the funeral mountains of Death Valley. This is a disjunct population here down south. And, you know, looks rough. But I've seen them rougher. I've seen them a lot rougher. There's one up there as well. Probably very hard to grow. Just so prone to rotting when young, and then of course adapted to the inaccessible iron content of the limestone. So the roots have to find a way to basically extract iron. Nice ferrocactus. You're looking sharp too, buddy. Basically have to find a way to extract iron, the iron that's locked up in that limestone rock. There's another individual. You can get an idea. The flowers are withered, but you can get an idea of how tiny they are. Got to reduce the flower size in this extremely dry environment. This is such a tough plant. Probably one of the most drought-tolerant plants, limestone plants, in the deserts of North America. Then you got Incelia farinosa over there, which doesn't give a shit whether it's growing in limestone or igneous soil. And it seems like it's just thriving. There's more salvia up there. God, it smells good. I'd love to catch one in flower. I want to show you one. One of the flowers are so nice. There's that little peridotally emerii. Yeah, more salvia. Oh, it's a lovely day in the Mojave. It's where that, over there is where that undescribed buckwheat species is. You know, the terrain here it could be really unforgiving. It's, I love these mountains, but holy hell. We're one to eat shit, and this limestone itself will really fuck up your boots, man. Even if you got Red Wings or something, it's, you know, it's game over, pal. It's just like a giant abrading stone. I've never really understood why the Mojave limestone is so much rougher than the limestone, say, that you get in Texas. I wonder if it has to do with the lower rainfall. Or maybe the content. Oh, there's some bighorn sheep shit. Look at it. Look at those pellets. So we got a pretty drastic turnover here. You can see where the rock changes from limestone to whatever the shit this is. Is this like rhyolite? That looks a little bit Maybe a little bit more mafic than rhyolite, I don't know. But we do have a change in substrate, and so we might get a change in plants too. And you're certainly not going to find, oh, what is that? Pyroxenes and olivines in that green rock. But you're not going to find many of the, you're definitely not going to be finding any of the salvia on this crumbly shit. This crumbly mafic, more mafic rhyolite. What would you call it exactly? I don't know, I'm somewhat limited in my geologic lexicon, forgive me. You know, I don't know a bunch of this stuff. I know a little bit of stuff. I don't know all the stuff. Not like I do with plants. You fucking degenerate. I don't know what you expect me. What do you expect me to do? Wow, that's nice. Look at it. Oh, that's so. Oh, take it in. That is that is soothing. It's like hearing that Sam and Dave song after a really bad day. You know, it's just like that. Which I would play if the copyright assholes wouldn't, you know, fuck with me for a copyright violation. But Soothe Me, that's a wonderful song. It really is. You get a little bit of, what's that about? Little outbreak of limestone over there? This has got a large grain size. This is more intrusive igneous. See that? You can see the grains, how they're into those little gravels. And then especially how the rock weathers right there, kind of smooth and in large boulders, you know, like you might see in Joshua Tree. You know, once you recognize the weathering patterns of different kinds of rock, you can tell what rock a mountain's composed of from far away. Like you see this weathering pattern, limestone rarely ever does this. Nice and Celia. The angriest little speckled rattlesnake I've ever met was down there once. He was like aggressively defensive. But he was only like 18 inches long. Beautiful purple color, but lots of fucking attitude, man. Oh, see that? That's a beautiful little nook, a beautiful little exposure of limestone. Surrounded by this much larger grained igneous stuff. Lots of Salvia funaria there. I remember, I think the buckwheat I was looking for was up there. The undescribed buck. People know about it, botanists know about it, no one's bothered to describe it yet. Now, if I wasn't mistaken, I would say that looks like marble. That looks like metamorphosed marble. And we are near the intersection of where the limestone met the igneous. That's all limestone here, and it's igneous above me that way. So that would make sense. It certainly does seem like marble. Oh, that's nice. That is so nice. Haven't seen that in a while. So we're back on the limestone, and not even seeing any Salvia funaria. Oh wait, here we go. Here's some. God, we've barely gone a mile, and it feels like so much longer because this terrain, as you can see, is so fucked up. Oh yeah, there we go. There's some nice Salvia. Ah, sketchy limestone talus. I love it. Ooh, and it's got a flower on it as well. Look at that. What a stunner. Quite a few flowers. Now let's put the light on. There you go. You can really get a nice up-close money shot of what's going on with those flowers. Ah, God, I love this. I love this species. And you won't find any growing over there on the igneous substrate, only on the limestone. Right here, growing out of limestone rock that's got the texture of sandpaper, like it's got the texture of a fucking cheese grater, to be honest with you. It's very unpleasant to touch. It makes quick work of boots and jeans. Salvia funaria, everybody. Named after the Funeral Mountains. Anyway, always a pleasure seeing this guy. You know, this is a disjunct population, too. You know, the Death Valley, the Funeral Mountains, is the type locality. And this is just, you know, I don't know what this is doing here. Evidently, at some point, you know, Salvia funaria made it to limestone. Or maybe it originated down here in the south. Or maybe it's just so old, you know, before all that igneous stuff was spit up at the surface, breaking it up. You know, maybe it could be vicariance, too, instead of dispersal. Who knows? Either way, that rare buckwheat's up there. But I remember my buddy Matt was there 6 months ago, and he said he only found 5 plants. It's a really cool buckwheat. I'll put photos of it up. It's got waxy blue stems, ketchup and mustard flowers. And people know about it, but nobody's described it. I don't know why. But he said he was up there and he only found 4 dried up plants, and the population is heavily reduced, I think just because it's so dry. So, you know, it really disincentivizes hiking 1,000 feet more uphill on this talus limestone to go look for it. But this is good enough. I mean, you know, I said, wow, you know, it's a real nice one over there. And just like the leaves are just like pointy white Q-tips covered in pubescence. You know, as you go from east to west, the plants get hair. Anyway, that's all I got. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. Go fuck yourself. Bye. Nice echo. You know, it's not true that there's no soil there. I mean, I guess that's soil. It's it's what limestone. Ooh, nice lichen. It's what limestone does. You know, it just creates this little powder as the rock is dissolved by the rain. So you get such intense stippling and pimpling in there. There's little. Oh, look at that. That's nice. You get some nice lichens. Nice to see you, old friend. Till next time. God, man, look at that sky. Oh, that's nice. Look, oh, wow. I said, wow. I didn't even look back. Really, you know, he really catches it when it's, I guess the light meter on his camera is pretty good. This is a great one. It's called Shot's Pygmy Cedar, after a dead guy named Shot, who a lot of stuff is named after him. Never really cared enough to find out who he was. So it's really just testament to how stupid eponyms are. But regardless, this is a member of Asteraceae. It's not a member of the cedar family or the juniper family at all. A lot of stuff that's actually junipers gets referred to as cedars in North America when there are no true cedars native to North America. They're all old world. But anyway, this is a member of Asteraceae, the sunflower family. It's got yellow flowers when it's blooming, and it's, you know, dry as shit right now, so there's no flowers on it, but it's one of my favorite plants. I haven't seen it in a long time. And you tend to find it growing on limestone, but here it's growing on granite, but there is limestone nearby. It's just kind of a geologic clusterfuck here, like so much of the Mojave is, which is wonderful. But this is a really cool plant. Waxy leaves, no hairs, just extreme wax, and that's how it prevents itself from losing all its moisture. When you see one lit up and it's blooming, it's exceptionally nice to see. But yeah, it really does look like a goddamn conifer, but it's not. It's a member of the Asteraceae, one of the 28,000 members of the Asteraceae. Look at that sky again. Let's look at that sky. You get up there. Oh, that's nice. Look at, you can really see those clouds, all that water vapor, so high in the atmosphere, pinks and purples, the Skeletor colors. Look at it. So this is all limestone, and then you got granite beneath it. It's the geologic mishmash of the Mojave Desert. Limestone right there, igneous right there. It's all together. You know what would be an interesting thing to test for? And this is just an idea. Maybe for a grad student out there. You know, if anyone's still going to have any funding left after, you know, the right cuts all the science funding. But to see if plants like Encea farinosa, which grow both on volcanics and on limestone, to see if the populations that grow on limestone are any different from the populations that grow on granite. You know, you'd have to look at the genome. You'd have to, you know, probably do full genome sequencing and see if there's any genetic differences anywhere. I bet there would be. Very different substrates. Oh, that's a nice grass. Look at all the hairs and scales on it. We got some Titostromia right there as well. Anyway, we're going up to, I guess we just missed the population. I got intel from a friend. We just missed the population of this rare plant that's actually flowering right now. This rare buckwheat. So I haven't seen it in 6 years. No one's bothered to describe it, even though it's been known about for about 3 decades. And so I think this might be the first video evidence of it if we find it. Oh, this is good for the heart rate. It's the exact same hike we did 2 days ago, but it was so much easier to do when the sun was going down versus when it was coming up. It's only 60 degrees out right now, I think, but it's going to go up to like 85. Oh, that sun is just cooking you. This is a Brazilian ass workout you need, though, right? Quit being a pansy. Oh, God. All Americans are generally pansies when it comes to walking. Ooh, physalis. Crassifolia. We get some little fruits in it. No, they're not ready yet. Got a nice mix. Nice mix of the igneous and the limestone. Ooh, what's this? Oh, this looks like it got cooked a little bit. Like it's marble. Oh, God, there it is. It's been so long since I've seen you in flower. You beautiful fuck. Look, there it is. The as yet undescribed Bristol Mountains buckwheat. So hopefully putting it in video format will encourage some of the local botanists to get off their ass and formally describe it. And mention all the prior collections of it, and it's in flower too. Look at those ketchup and mustard flowers. Beautiful waxy blue stems, divaricating cage-like stems, somewhat resembling Eriogonum deflexum or Eriogonum hermanii. Some of the other ones that do that branching shit, but there it is. It's looking terrific. And it seems like there's plenty of old ones. There's probably plenty of seed in the seed bank here. It is exceptionally dry here, though. It is exceptionally dry in the Mojave right now, or at least in this part of the Mojave. I mean, you know it's dry when the barrel cactus are dying. God, it's fucking great, though. Look at it. It's a limestone endemic, only growing on the limestone, on this little patch of limestone that's like an island surrounded by the igneous. The Mojave Desert doesn't have a lot of limestone in this region, and this is a disjunct patch of limestone, or population rather, of Salvia funaria. Oh look, someone built a rock cairn up there. Anyway, so coincidentally I was here 2 days ago. My friend Matt was here 5 hours previous, and I was looking for this plant specifically, as well as funeral mountain sage. I was looking for funeral mountain sage when I first discovered this 6 years ago and looked into it, and then learned that a few others had found it as well, but no one had described it, though they did know it was new to science. And so anyway, I was here, and I, called Matt, because he had been here 6 months prior and said that they were all dead, and, area was dry as shit and everything looked like hell. And coincidentally, he'd been there 4 hours earlier. He was passing through, and he just said, I should go check on that buckwheat. And he told me it was in flower, so we came back. So thanks a lot, Matt. There's probably more up there. Anywhere you see the white, that's limestone. See, it's a mismatch, a mix-up, a clusterfuck. Anywhere up there where you see the white, there's limestone, and then all the brown patches are this igneous material, large-grained igneous material. A geologic clusterfuck. So anywhere you see the white, especially where it's higher up, you would possibly find this plant. And here where, it's got a little bit of protection, it's on the north side of this slope. It tells you how dry it is. God, it's fucking great to see this thing again, though. Oh, here's a wonderful specimen. Look at that cage-like branching structure. The tiny ketchup and mustard flowers. The waxy, glaucous blue stems. Leafless, except for probably has leaves at the base. When it germinates, the base of leaves are probably withered now. Just a visual delight. Haven't seen it flowering in 8 years. Collected a little bit of it that was alive but not flowering a couple years ago, and I sessioned it in an herbarium in West Texas. But aside from that, I haven't seen it. I've missed you, man. Haven't seen you in a while. God, it's such a beautiful species, man. It's so cool. It's so rare. And there's only 10 individuals right now up. There's skeletons everywhere. I mean, there's one. You can see this guy's kind of on its way out. There's skeletons everywhere. Get your peridales going off. Lurea tridentata, Encilia farinosa. Look at that. And all that brown stuff. It's all that igneous stuff. Large-grained, intrusive igneous, cooled very slowly underground. And it's just mixed right up with all the limestone. There's skeletons all down the hill. But it's only growing on the north side of this slope. So that tells me it's, maybe it grew, further south on the south slope in times past. But it has been exceptionally dry here. Look at what you could see. Those are flowers that are a little bit post. Ah, so nice to see. Someone's really got to get out there and describe this. The stuff they're doing now, you got to get out there and work on this, man. Oh, this is look, this is a trampled one, and I saw it when I first got here, so I know it wasn't my dumbass. And I don't think it would have been my friend Matt, because he's super attentive about where he steps, and he doesn't wear big-ass boots like me. So maybe it was a bighorn sheep, because there are sheep pellets all over here, but you can see the base of leaves. Due to the fact this thing is trampled, you can readily see those base of leaves. Pubescent and ovate. Look at these. You got these roots right here. These are a perennial, man. You got some nice, stocky, perennial roots right there. If this thing can focus, there you go. Look at that. That's a stocky root. It's a nice perennial buckwheat. Oh, yeah, there you go. You like that? Oh, that's nice. That's real nice. There it is. There's the population, and then this is interesting. This is where it transitions back to granite. So that molten magma intruded the pre-existing limestone and cooked it a little bit, and you could see it right there. That is limestone that got melted and cooked a little bit, and perhaps mixed with some of the intrusive igneous stuff. And when that happens, it's how you get marble. You cook limestone, you metamorphic, put some hot metamorphic action with the limestone, you get marble. It's just denser rock. So you take mud, you get slate. You take mudstone, you get slate. Oh, and even beautiful, more beautiful illustration of the transition between limestone and the igneous stuff above it. See the large grain igneous stuff, the large grain, and then the softer, more fragile and sensitive limestone. Sensitive, my ass, it shit'll tear you up. Look at it. Look, limestone igneous, limestone igneous. Oh, look, there's salvia funerea here too. Even a salvia funerea looks rough. The funeral sage does. Look at that dieback. God, it is incredibly dry. There could be a lot more though up there. Go to higher elevations where all the moisture gets squeezed. Not all. I mean, what little moisture ever comes through. Maybe there's some up there on the other slope, you know? Who will be the one to go look? Not me. I gotta go catch a plane. Anyway, that's all I got. Have a good rest of the day. Go fuck yourself. Bye.